Think the headlights come toward you. They do not pass. They bloom. They explode across your entire field of vision like a flashbulb detonating behind your corneas. For a moment, you are blind. Your hands tighten on the wheel. The road vanishes. And then, slowly, the darkness returns, but not cleanly. Not the way it used to. That is not aging. That is not inevitable. That is a signaling failure inside your retina. A nutritional depletion your eye doctor has never once tested for. When was the last time you drove at night without that moment of hesitation? Without gripping the wheel a little tighter when the headlights came? Dr. Megan Foster has spent more than 20 years studying age-related changes in the human body. She has examined thousands of patients who walked into her office convinced their vision was simply wearing out, like an old machine running down. She has news for them. And for you. The retina is not a passive camera sensor waiting to decay. It is the single most metabolically demanding tissue in your entire body. More demanding than your heart. More demanding than your brain. And when it fails at night, it is not because it is old. It is because it is starving. There is one fruit overlooked by Western medicine but validated in clinical trials that physically rebuilds your eye's internal sunglasses while you sleep. It deposits a protective filter directly into the center of your retina. We will get to the exact protocol in a moment. But first, you need to understand something your optometrist cannot fix. They can measure your decline. They can give you a stronger prescription. But stronger glasses will never solve this. Because what is failing is not your lens. It is living tissue. And living tissue requires very specific fuel. But understanding the solution requires understanding the sabotage. What is actually happening inside your eye right now, as you watch this, that makes darkness feel hostile? The answer is both simpler and more alarming than you think. The villain has a name. Oxidative stress. Think of it as internal rust. Your retina is not corroding from the outside. It is corroding from within. One sleepless night at a time. One nutrient-deficient meal at a time. One unprotected exposure to harsh light at a time. Here is how the corrosion works at the cellular level. When light enters your eye, it strikes a molecule called rhodopsin. Rhodopsin is the chemical that allows your rod cells to function in low light. It is your night vision engine. The moment light hits it, rhodopsin breaks apart. This is normal. This is supposed to happen. But here is the problem: rhodopsin must be rebuilt before the next wave of light arrives. That rebuilding requires vitamin A. It requires antioxidants. It requires raw materials that your body does not manufacture. If those materials are absent, the regeneration fails. The rod cells sit there, half-broken, unable to process the next signal. And you experience this failure as blindness. As bloom. As the terrifying moment when the oncoming lane disappears. Here is a number your eye doctor has never told you: the retina consumes more oxygen per gram than any other tissue in your body, including your brain. That oxygen consumption generates waste. Free radicals. Molecular shrapnel. In a healthy eye, antioxidants neutralize that shrapnel before it can cause damage. But in a nutrient-depleted eye, the shrapnel accumulates. It scratches the photoreceptors. It erodes the macular pigment, the thin yellow filter sitting over the center of your retina. That filter is your eye's internal UV shield. When it thins, light that should be absorbed instead scatters. It bounces. It creates the bloom. The glare. The sensation that light is too loud. Dr. Foster saw this pattern in thousands of patients over 2 decades. The prescription would get stronger. The night vision would get worse. And no one was asking the right question: what is the retina actually missing? Read that again. Glasses fix the lens. Nutrition fixes the retina. These are two entirely different systems. Your optometrist is an expert in refraction, the bending of light through a curved surface. But rhodopsin regeneration is not a refraction problem. Macular pigment density is not a refraction problem. These are metabolic problems. And metabolic problems require metabolic solutions. And there is something else. A food many people eat believing it protects their eyes when it is doing the exact opposite. We will expose it shortly. So if the damage is metabolic and glasses cannot reach it, what can? There is one fruit backed by clinical trials and overlooked by mainstream nutrition that Dr. Foster recommends above all others. And it works while you sleep. Goji berries. Not a supplement. Not an extract. The whole, dried berry. Here is why. Goji berries contain zeaxanthin in concentrations that dwarf almost every other food source. Zeaxanthin is not a generic antioxidant. It is a targeted compound that physically migrates to the fovea, the bullseye center of your macula responsible for your sharpest central vision. Once there, it does not circulate. It deposits. It accumulates. It builds a high-density biological filter against short-wavelength light. Blue light. The most oxidizing part of the visible spectrum. The light that creates the most shrapnel. This is not supplementation. This is structural reconstruction. The protocol is non-negotiable. 1 to 2 tablespoons daily. Timing matters, eat them in the evening, 1 to 2 hours before bed. This is the pre-sleep window when your body is priming for overnight repair. The retina does its deepest regeneration while you are unconscious. Give it the raw materials before you close your eyes. 12 weeks. That is the minimum timeline. Effects are cumulative, not immediate. You are not swallowing a drug that spikes and crashes. You are depositing layer after layer of protective pigment into living tissue. Each serving adds another coat of anti-rust sealant to the sensor. But here is where most people sabotage themselves. They eat the right fruit at the right time with the wrong partner. Zeaxanthin is fat-soluble. If you eat goji berries alone on an empty stomach, without any fat, they pass through your digestive system unabsorbed. The compound never reaches your bloodstream. It never reaches your retina. You get nothing. The fix is simple. Pair every serving with a fat source. A handful of almonds. A spoonful of full-fat yogurt. A drizzle of olive oil over the berries. The fat carries the zeaxanthin across the intestinal wall. Without it, you are wasting the most powerful retinal compound available in the food supply. Why whole fruit instead of a zeaxanthin supplement? Because the goji berry is not a single chemical. It is a matrix. It contains polysaccharides, fiber, and cofactors that enhance absorption and extend the compound's activity window. Isolated supplements deliver a spike. Whole fruit delivers a sustained release. Dr. Foster has seen patients who took zeaxanthin capsules for years with no measurable change in macular pigment density. She has seen patients who switched to whole goji berries and showed improvement within 3 months. Goji berries are the cornerstone. But they are not the only weapon in this arsenal. The next 3 fruits each target a different part of the visual cycle, and one of them you can find in any grocery store freezer. Blueberries. 1/2 cup daily. Fresh or frozen, the freezing process does not destroy the active compounds. Blueberries are dense with anthocyanins, the dark purple pigments responsible for the berry's color. Anthocyanins accelerate the rhodopsin regeneration cycle. They do not deposit in the macula like zeaxanthin. They work systemically, improving the speed at which your rod cells rebuild their light-sensing molecules after each exposure. They also support microvascular blood flow to the retina. The retina has no direct blood supply. It relies on a network of tiny capillaries feeding it from behind. Anthocyanins keep those capillaries flexible and permeable. If blueberries are unavailable in your region or prohibitively expensive, there are equivalents. Jamun, the Indian blackberry, contains anthocyanin concentrations that rival or exceed blueberries. Bilberries, common across Europe, are even more potent. The mechanism is identical. Only the fruit wrapper changes. Tart cherries. 1/2 cup of juice or frozen fruit. Timing is critical, 1 hour before bed. Tart cherries are one of the only food sources of natural melatonin. Melatonin does not fix your retina directly. It extends the overnight repair window. It pushes you into deeper sleep more quickly, and keeps you there longer. The retina does not regenerate during light sleep. It regenerates during the delta wave phase. More time in delta means more time for rhodopsin to rebuild, more time for the macular pigment to consolidate. Tart cherries also contain anthocyanins, delivering secondary antioxidant support while the melatonin does its work. Kiwi. 1 whole fruit daily. Kiwi is a vitamin C bomb, one of the highest concentrations available in a single serving. Vitamin C protects the lens proteins from clumping together. That clumping is the first stage of cataract formation. But vitamin C does something else. After vitamin E neutralizes a free radical, the vitamin E molecule is temporarily disabled. Vitamin C regenerates it, recharges it, puts it back on the front line. 1 kiwi per day creates a continuous antioxidant cycle, vitamin E neutralizing shrapnel, vitamin C reloading vitamin E, both protecting the delicate structures of the eye. Now I need to warn you about something. Because if you are doing this, you are undoing everything we just discussed. The health food accelerating retinal corrosion is fruit juice without fiber. You think you are getting the benefits. You see the label, 100% fruit. You taste the sweetness and assume the antioxidants are flooding your system. They are not. When you strip the fiber from fruit, you create a liquid sugar bomb. The sugar hits your bloodstream in minutes. Blood glucose spikes. That spike triggers a cascade of free radical production, the exact oxidative stress we are trying to eliminate. The antioxidants in the juice? They are neutralized before they ever reach your retina. They are consumed fighting the fire you just started with the sugar. It is like pouring rust remover into your eye with one hand while spraying acid with the other. Sweetened dried fruit is the same trap. Concentrated sugars, often 2 to 3 times the sugar density of fresh fruit, create an inflammatory response that accelerates glycation. Glycation is the caramelization of proteins. It stiffens the lens. It degrades retinal tissue. You are coating the sensor with a sticky film that attracts more corrosion. If you want dried fruit, eat it unsweetened. If you want juice, eat the whole fruit instead. The protocol is clear. The science is mapped. But none of it matters if you do not start. Here is what happens when you actually commit to this for 12 weeks. Imagine this. 12 weeks from now. You are behind the wheel after sunset. The highway stretches ahead. A car approaches from the opposite lane. The headlights come toward you. And they pass. No bloom. No lingering halo. No moment of blindness where the road disappears. Just clean, crisp darkness returning instantly. You merge onto the highway without hesitation. The road feels yours again. Can you picture it? 12 weeks from now. The highway at dusk. Headlights approaching and passing. No bloom. No fear. Just the road, clear and quiet. Dr. Foster's closing message is this: the eye is not declining. It is underfed. The retina is living tissue. It is not waiting to die. It is waiting to be rebuilt. Every single night, while you sleep, it attempts to regenerate, but only if you have given it the raw materials before you closed your eyes. The darkness does not have to be hostile. The headlights do not have to bloom. Your night vision is not a casualty of time. It is a casualty of deficiency. And deficiency can be corrected. But the foods are only half the equation. Because there is something you are doing every evening, staring at a specific wavelength of light that is accelerating the very corrosion we just mapped. In the next protocol, we break down the screen habits that undo everything. The device in your hand may be doing more damage than the diet ever could.